before we start, just one last thing. We should add this ones because
Yeah.
it makes a difference in terms of S.
S. Okay.
Just helps a little bit.
Yeah, I do a little bit of an S. I have a slightly sibilant S.
Me as well.
When I first got to drum school, they mentioned that, and I had never known.
Oh, really?
I had it before. I was like, what? Really?
That's rude. As soon as you show up, you're like, you have a weird S.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't call it that, but I appreciate that it is. Yeah. It was like the first day, and the voice coach guy, are you aware that you have a slightly sibilant S? I was like, no, I didn't know that.
I am aware now.
I am now.
I will be aware for the rest of my life.
Exactly. And now I am painfully aware sometimes. But he did tell me right away how you can get rid of it, which, or in my case, because there are different kinds of S's, sibilant S's. So apparently my one is like a slightly lazy tongue where the S sound will escape from the sides. But then if I really concentrate on pushing the air out from the back of the front teeth, so instead of saying S, I say S.
Interesting.
So air doesn't get out to the sides, it goes straight out the front. Apparently that will stop it.
So instead of
Yeah.
It's
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see the difference. Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever been able to, I've not tried hard enough to integrate that into my daily speech yet. But I think if I were playing a character or something, and I thought this character really shouldn't have a sibilant S, then I would put the time into making sure I got rid of it, at least for a while.
Okay.
But you do get some actors like Ian McKellen who just has this like old man S all the time, and it doesn't seem to be a problem for him. So I think it's fine.
I guess that at a certain point you cannot just change everything about you. Like also your particular traits can be inherited by your character. Like you inherit a persona of the character as well inherits some of your stuff, and that's what makes it more alive and more real, you know, because the person that's writing about the character, that's coming up with the character, they can do a great job, but it will not be as particular and as elaborate as a real person. So I guess and also
Absolutely.
that's where casting what is it called, when you always cast like a person, like an actor for always the same role, you know, like for example Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, always the tough big guy that does not talk much.
He doesn't have a sibilant S.
Nice, we are ready.
Beautiful.
Even if we started already, I'm going to keep this anyway. Okay, hello, how are you doing?
Hello. Well, good, thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Nice to have you. How is the matcha?
Delicious. Is there cinnamon?
I don't know. I think he did. Yeah, I saw him sprinkling some stuff on top.
Sprinkling some magic in there.
Yeah, and I just thought it was chocolate powder. I didn't think much of it, but now that you're making me notice, it was cinnamon. Yeah.
You didn't think much of it?
Yeah. Exactly. But I guess it makes sense. Cinnamon goes well with matcha.
It does, yeah. It's lovely. It's like a natural sweetener, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's no, I don't think there's any sugar in there at all, but
Mm-hmm.
something about it is like my tongue thinks it's sugar.
So the thing so far with the podcast is that most of the time I'm inviting people that I know. So from my point of view, I always know the person that's in front of me. So I have like a generic idea of what you do, what you don't do, and stuff like that. But of course, if someone is listening, they don't know you. So like if you could give like a very brief introduction, like just...
Sure, okay, yeah.
Just to give some context.
I'm okay with these boxes sometimes. I think some people don't want to be put in boxes, but I'm trying to embrace the box. So
what's your box?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things in the box. There's actor.
Okay.
Qualified, trained work sporadically, and personal trainer, fitness coach, dance facilitator, professionally trained in that world as well, and work sporadically. And these things, yeah, come and go. And then I also do various bits of shift work, agency stuff, where they employ, my chair's squeaking already, where they employ actors and people with no shame to go on the street and sell memberships to a garden and that kind of thing. So that's basically my 3 at the moment.
Okay, that's cool. I actually think that it's a strength not to have a box, because otherwise, if you have a very specific box, like you called it, like I am this thing and I just do this thing, then you're stuck there, you know? It's also kind of a strength, because then you will over specialize in that thing and you will be very, very expert about it. But at the same time, you'll be stuck. And whenever you have to do something that's outside of what you do in your everyday life, or what's the thing that you are in terms of jobs, then you will not feel comfortable and you will not go for it, and you will not get out of your comfort zone or out of your box. So that's actually something that I've been thinking of lately quite often, because me as well. They ask me, what do you do? I tell them, I am a videographer, but that's very limiting. I'm not just a videographer. I'm many other things, but you just, you put some boundaries. So I'm trying to remind myself now that every time that someone asks me, I'll just tell them I do videography, and that's different. It's not about me being something or my persona or my identity. Is just my action. And that also like separates me a little bit from it. And I think it's something that I'm trying to be more mindful of. But it's interesting that you mentioned it just straight away, because me as well, I try to not fit in boxes.
Yeah, this is interesting. There's a couple of different sides to it. A while back, I kind of latched onto this philosophy of choose a sacrifice or someone else will choose it for you.
Interesting.
And I always, growing up, I thought, I don't know what takes my interest enough to go and study it at uni or spend after the conventional education system had run its course. I was like, I don't want to go and study something else I fiddle with stuff. I've just dropped my ring. I don't want to go and study something else for another 5 years because I don't know what it is that I like. And then a few years later, I kind of came to that realization that I should pick something. But yeah, on the other hand, I think especially with the world of the internet, you can learn anything. And you can be a multifaceted skill stacker, right? That's what they call it, stack valuable skills, and then you have enough that you can have some kind of unique offering because you've got this skill and that skill and that skill and that skill. Do you feel like you've kind of amassed some things that you find interesting that can keep you engaged?
I definitely resonate with what you're talking about, because this attitude, it's weird how some people straight away they know what they're going to do, they go for it, and they don't question it. Like they just keep going, and early on when they're really young, they just choose that path, no more questions. They say like they're going, But then for some other people, they just struggle. Like, they don't want. It's like they don't want to be stuck just in one path. It just feels like it's claustrophobic. And I always been very very similar. Always focusing on too many things, And the strength of focusing on just one thing, you become very very specialized in that thing. Like I said before, and hyper efficient. And while if you're spread over many things, you will do everything. You'll experience loads of stuff, but then you cannot build something big, And I'm trying to balance those two. I'm trying to choose as little things as possible now, because otherwise it's too much to juggle. But at the same time, it's really fun. So it is tricky. Yeah.
Do you think you can bring multiple interests into one eventually, like in an entrepreneurial sense? If you became an expert in a few fields and brought them together, do you think that's something? I'm sure you can, but do you think that's something you see yourself as doing one day, as opposed to having some separated interests that you pursue at the same time?
I would love to put everything together and just create something very particular. And I guess that's where you create very particular products or services or pieces of content that you just like make it very tailored to your specific genius or intelligence or curiosity, because it's something that you're the only one that can come up with it, because you are the only person that have these specific traits, that had this specific path in life and these specific experiences. And if you can translate that into something, it would be very unique. So yeah, I would like to do that in the future, but now I still don't know how to get there. And yes, let's see how it goes. Yeah.
Mm. Have you seen this guy Dan Coe?
No, who is it?
Dan Koe. This guy's come to my attention recently. He often talks about this new economy of social media and the internet, essentially, and how I've heard multiple people talking about skill stacking.
Mm-hmm.
That say if you were to learn what you needed to about marketing, graphic design, podcasting, maybe
Mm-hmm.
hosting, speaking, writing, and a lot of it focuses on writing and speaking as kind of universal, timeless skills that you can apply to any subject. If you can talk about it and write about it, then you can engage people. And whether or not that kind of entrepreneurial take all of your interests and put them into one, or learn so many skills and put them into one kind of service, whether that's realistic for a lot of people or not, I'm not sure. But it's an intoxicating idea that that's easier now than it ever has been.
Yes, we have much more freedom now with technology.
Mm.
It's both a damnation, but also at the same time, I think it could be salvation as well.
Mm.
Because like right now, we just showed up in a podcast studio that it's rented. You know, there is someone that offered this service, and with the internet and it's easier to communicate, to collaborate. So I just pay. They give me all the information. I show up here. I don't trash the place. We use it like it's supposed to be used, and we leave, and someone comes after us, and he uses it. And same with social media and all the different platforms they have. You could just get lost in them and waste all of your day and not do anything meaningful. But at the same time, you can share so much knowledge, so much entertainment, and you can create new things. And you have a voice. Everyone has a voice. And it is definitely also something that you're making me think of about this skill stacking and not being specialized just in one thing. I think it's something that is needed in society, because right now we are going in a different direction. We're going into the direction of over specialization. And I like a quote from, I think it's from this entrepreneur called Naval. I think the quote is that over specializing is for insects.
They do look super specialized, don't they, sometimes?
Yes, and also like animal in general, you know, like they have very specific patterns.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
You know, like if you're a bird, you know that at a certain point, when the temperature drops to a certain level, you have to migrate. You know, every year, you cannot avoid it. Like if you're a polar bear, you have to go to sleep for months. or this is the mating season, so now now you have to mate.
Yeah, right.
While humans have this special gift that it's choosing, having no boundaries,
Mm.
and
Adaptability.
exactly, and doing different things, going off the path, creating new paths, and but we are forsaking that, and we're over specializing, and that's comfortable because you get very, very expert about one topic or one skill, and you feel comfortable because you just know that perfectly. You know everything about it. You know every single step. But at the same time, you lose this opportunity to just express yourself and create something new, something that resonates with you. And so I think we should mention, like we already mentioned, who you are, like your box.
Yeah, sure. I'm trying my best to fit in.
uh, we should mention the activities that you organize because they're very, very related to what we're talking about right now.
Sure. Okay, yeah, so I mentioned the dance workshop. So this was a while back. I started doing it online during COVID. And it's very related because it was when I was studying to be a personal trainer. There's an online course, and then you go and do a couple of in-person sessions in a gym, and it took about 6 months or so. And I was thinking, I know I like this world. I like fitness. I already don't want to be in this box, though. I'm not even in it yet, and I'm already like, I don't really want to be in it. So I thought I wanted to make something a bit different, just to keep myself engaged, really, and to feel like it was more creative. So I wanted to work in some kind of acting-y stuff, drama, physical theatre, movement, games, and make it more playful and a bit less standardized.
Mm-hmm.
In the fitness world, standardization can be really helpful because you can monitor progress and you know exactly what you did last week and am I stronger this week? You want to be doing roughly exactly the same thing, otherwise you can't really tell because you don't want too many factors to change. Because it's a science-based thing. You want to know if you're getting stronger or why are you doing it. But it's completely the opposite in the world of play and expression and creativity. You don't want it to be standardized at all, and you don't want to replicate what you did last week. It's like the opposite. You want to be trying to improvise in every moment. So I wanted to take those two things and put them together so we could have the benefits of a standardized practice. Like in one of these dance workshops I run, we'll do some squats and we'll do some push-ups and something that you could practice a couple of times a week, and you have a rough idea of how to do this movement and your body learns how to do it and you can get better at it and get stronger. And then at the same time, I wanted to work in lots of free movement and play and dancing and mimicking each other's dance moves and improvising on the fly. So it feels creative and a different part of your brain is stimulated. That was how this kind of workshop began. And then it was about 2 years after that, once I'd been to drama school, that I thought, okay, I want to do more of these workshops. This is something I enjoy, kind of facilitating, teaching to a certain extent.
So have you been to drama school before or after the pandemic?
After
the pandemic.
Yeah.
So during the pandemic, you did these courses about fitness.
Yes.
And then you did drama school.
Then I did drama school. Before then, I'd done a bit of physical theatre stuff, like regular workshops, which I'd highly recommend. They're in London all the time. You can go and drop in. Sometimes they're free. They're usually £10, £15 or something. You just drop in for an hour or sometimes 2 hours. And some of them are like reading scripts. That's like a much more conventional cerebral acting exercise where you might sit there, look at a script and read it with someone. And then sometimes it's super, super physical, and it's like a physical theatre workshop where you go in and you dance around and play around and move, and it's tiring and you create something with your bodies. So I'd done a bit of that before going to drama school, and I knew that I loved it. And I knew that it could benefit a lot of people. And there was definitely a crossover with the fitness world. So yeah, put those two things together. Games, freestyle dancing, and fitnessy movements. And then what came after that was improv, which is another workshop I run. So tonight we have a performance with an improv group that I co-founded about a year ago. And we also do workshops where we get people in to do improv. So yeah, it's like the creative, playful, improvisational side of any activity is something that I've gravitated towards. And I've tried to appreciate the need for some boxes as well. And I guess they're coming together now. It still feels very much like early doors. Kind of been running these workshops for a few years. But I can tell it could be like another 10 years before I could make like a full-time occupation out of running workshops and then, yeah, branding it all and, you know, big old social media and YouTube and all this stuff. It's very much a path which I'm yet to fully commit to be honest, and I'm very aware of that.
Yes, there is the business side of it, but the names of the two workshops, activities that you do, one is creative fitness dance.
Creative dance fitness.
Creative dance fitness.
Yeah.
And the other one is
Salty Pelican.
Yes, I've always been curious. How did you guys come up with the name Salty Pelican?
Yeah, I think it was my business partner, Ella. I think she might have mentioned some beach cafe in Australia or something. I can't remember. We were just like throwing a few names out there and she said that and I was instantly like, yeah, that's really funny. So I just love that. And she says, yeah, me too. So we went for that.
Yeah, it is really funny, and when you hear it, you just don't know what to expect. Salty Pelican? What is it going to happen? Is it related to birds?
Yeah, nothing, not at all. They're funny animals, aren't they?
Is it a real like an annoyed pelican, always salty, you know? Takes it too seriously?
That's also funny. Yeah. They look funny in the first place. Finding Nemo also made pelicans funny, I think. Do you remember?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that what is he? He's that Australian pelican. He's like,
yeah, the guys that they're actually also they're both quirky and weirdos, but also they're helpful. Like they help the fish.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah, they're always like there's the one that always flying to the window and talking to the fishes in the aquarium.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Absolute joy when he flies into the dentist's office and causes absolute chaos.
Yeah.
So funny.
But then you have the annoying horde of birds, the small ones. Do you remember?
Mine? Yeah, the seagulls.
Ah, yes.
We're so prejudiced, aren't we? We don't like seagulls. We don't love pigeons.
I hate pigeons.
Understandable.
They're disgusting.
They are a bit disgusting. We call them rats with wings. Why do we hate rats?
That's what I call them as well. I call them rats of the sky.
Yeah. I mean, we're allowed to have favorites. For some reason, we love pelicans. We don't like pigeons.
They're kind of nice. They have like a very particular beak, you know?
It's huge. It's enormous.
And usually, like beaks are pointy, while the pelican's beak is just like, yeah, exactly. It's
jowl-ish.
Like, yeah, it's a lovely animal, lovely bird.
Absolutely, yeah, and a salty one is all the funnier. Crispy.
Yes. But I've been to both the Salty Pelican and Creative Dance Fitness, and I really enjoyed both of them. And I think it's something that you cannot find around. Of course, I haven't tried the improv theater because it comes from there. That's where you got influence. So maybe it's a little bit similar in terms of Salty Pelican. But it's just something that I never a kind of activity that I never experienced before. It was really interesting to put yourself out there, out of your comfort zone, and just express yourself and improvise. And I think I already told you this once, but it's so different from what you do in your everyday life, or at least in all the activities that are related to society. Because usually throughout your week, you will go to work and you have to be, you have to fit in a very strict structure. You know, you have to show up at a certain time and leave at a certain time. You have to take your break lunch break at a certain time and come back at a certain time. You have to sit in one place. You have to defer to your manager, or anyway be like he's the figure you go to and knows more than you, hopefully. And you have your colleagues. This one is above you, this one is underneath you, so you have to coach them. Everything is very defined, and you have like this very specific activity that you do, task, and it's kind of repetitive, like throughout time, and you always know what to expect. While this is completely different. You just show up and you have to improvise. You don't have a script. You have to come up on the fly on another person that's improvising. So like it's complete chaos, but it's fun chaos. And I think it's so important to try stuff like this and to have something like this, because it's also, even if it's completely chaos and it looks like there is no pattern, it's still something that you can train. It's a muscle that you can train, or just like it's probably training being comfortable with not being in control. That it's really important. And what's happening nowadays, sorry, it's the opposite. It's always wanting to be in control.
Absolutely. It's really refreshing to hear your take on it, because I've done it for a little while and I kind of forget how out of the ordinary it is.
Very.
And you did really well, by the way. Embraced it very
Thanks.
readily, quite quickly, which is, difficult, because a lot of the time we might have gone days or weeks or sometimes years or since we were kids without having had that completely open environment to play and improvise and be encouraged to do something. Be encouraged to surprise yourself, basically. And obviously everyone has autonomy. We're all kind of improvising all the time when we're not being told what to do. And then even when you are being told what to do, you're improvising a bit within that structure. But I know what you mean. A lot of the time the structure is really, really rigid, and the room for improvisation within that is quite limited. Whereas in these workshops, it's a little closed environment where you're encouraged to do whatever you want, and move freely. And the other people help a lot because they encourage you having to change your plan every moment, right? Because you're doing something and then you catch someone's eye and you're supposed to mimic their dance move, and they're like, oh, they're doing, okay, I have to do something different. And that's the idea, is that there's all these elements which force you to keep changing what you were planning on doing. Which, I don't know the neuroscience of it, but there's definitely a creative part of the brain which is like a muscle and is stimulated by all of that. And it feels wonderful. And society is sorely lacking in those opportunities. And the art spaces are so elitist and so small, and we go and gather at a theatre and watch like a very select group of a few people do the thing.
Yes.
And we watch it and we applaud, and that's great. And then we might go home, and those thousand people watching it are denied the opportunity to. They share in that emotion and that moment, and that's beautiful in itself. But you want to be doing it as well.
Yes. I think you touched on something that's that I thought of as well. That you have this, you call them stars and you call them performers, and you just pay money to go there and see them do the thing. They're doing it for you, but you could be doing it and enjoying that thing as well, like role playing. Today I'm a pirate, And, yes.
Finally. I've been waiting.
My whole life. And you can just pretend to be a pirate for like half an hour, and have fun. And then you go back to your life and be a serious, reliable, normal person.
Presentable, vegetable.
Yeah. And it's the same with going to a concert. You don't have to wait to go to the concert to actually sing. And it's been happening lately. I discovered karaoke in the last, I don't know, year or something.
Great.
It's something that I never did before. Going with having a mic, having the lyrics,
Amazing.
and just singing your heart out. Because I used to be the kind of person to think, oh no, like my voice is not, I'm not, I don't have a nice voice fit for singing. That's stupid. That's awkward. Blah, blah, blah. I would think too much. But then I tried it. It's actually fun to let go and sing your favorite songs and be the one. Be the one singing, in the driving seat.
Hell yeah.
It's fun to, of course, the performer, that's his main thing. And he's talented in that, and he will do it better than you. And that's why you go to a concert. But at the same time, it's also important to try these things for yourself and have fun.
Definitely, yeah. It's just creative expression and freedom. I think we need it.
Everyone needs it.
Yeah.
Not just performers or people that do it.
Exactly.
As a career.
Yeah. I think there are probably some people who are more heavily reliant on creative expression to get through the day. And there are some people who are more capable of enjoying repeatable tasks or without going completely mad or disintegrating inside. But I still think that, yeah, absolutely everyone needs it. And society definitely doesn't afford us enough spaces to do it, and just doesn't encourage it either, because I feel exactly the same way. I don't have a particularly gifted singing voice at all. Never have. Never did growing up. And yeah, it took going to drama school to feel even remotely comfortable singing in front of people. I've very rarely done karaoke, and I would love to do that. I think that's wonderful that you found that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, singing, dancing, moving, acting, playing little characters. I think that's partly why people enjoy having kids. There's loads of reasons people want to have kids, give their life meaning.
Yeah.
But I think having an excuse to go and play with them. And then when you're a grandparent, they really want to have grandkids around so they can be kids again and play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're just looking for these excuses. It's like, oh, it's okay now because I'm with a kid, so I'm allowed to play now. Or I'm at karaoke and everyone's a bit drunk, so I'm allowed to sing. And it's, that's okay, but we need more of them. We need way more. We need to make it normal.
Yes, we should. And I feel like this creative expressions is also a way to exercise your demons.
Yeah.
And what I mean is, it could be that you take a canvas and you start painting whatever you feel like painting, and you will end up painting something that helps you get out that stuff that inside you that you cannot express rationally, but you maybe can express by being creative. And probably something similar that happens with journaling as well. You're just writing whatever comes to your mind. And same with singing, because you're just like releasing all the negative and positive energy by just like shouting, different songs, like sad songs, happy songs, rap songs.
Yeah.
And so I think it should definitely be more encouraged, even in the educational system, because there is a lot of focus on STEM subjects that are always related to produce, So physics, mathematics. I love mathematics. I always had fun during the classes, subjects related to the very rational part of the mind. But it's very important to put more effort into the other aspects of like the humanities. I feel like I don't know how it is here in the UK, but in Italy, the science-related subjects are always seen as more prestigious, while the other side, it's if you're going to a university that's related more to the humanities, you're kind of seen as, oh yeah, that's a lesser one, I don't know if it's the same in the UK.
Yeah, it is. I think it's generally assumed that you have to be smarter, basically. You'd have to have a higher IQ to pursue physics, maths, chemistry, engineering. You're going to be paid more in all likelihood from a career that comes off the back of that. You're going to have to work harder to do it. You'll probably have to study for longer. Obviously, things like medicine, law. Law would be a humanities, though, wouldn't it? So I think there are exceptions.
Mhm.
Like law is very prestigious, but that's a humanity, I think. It's definitely not a science.
It's a gray. I think it's a gray area.
Okay, yeah, yeah, right. So yeah, there's more prestigiousness, and there's also, it's just presumed that you can have more throwaway degrees in the humanity, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I did history, or I did geography, or I did English literature, or theatre studies.
Yeah.
You know, like the drama world that I've been a part of. Something like that, if you're not quite sure. And then maybe it's presumed, oh, well, you're not going to contribute as much to society off the back of one of those.
Yeah, it's funny because there are always the jokes and the memes about philosophy, history.
That's it.
They just have to learn to. It's a McDonald's degree.
McDonald's degree, okay.
You have
Mickey
to learn
Mouse
to
degree.
say, "Do you want fries with that?"
Yeah. I mean, university in general used to be more prestigious than it is now. Just having gone. I didn't go at all, but there's definitely less of a prestige about having gone to university than there was 20, 30 years ago. Now, anyone can go and study a degree without having that much interest in it or necessarily wanting to pursue a career in it, and jobs very in all likelihood won't follow after, I think, unless they're in these more prestigious subjects. Although I have heard that the humanities are, in defense of the humanities, they are very good for general education, like basically reading and writing, which is something we touched on earlier, which these kind of entrepreneurs of the modern internet economy talk about as being some of the most key skills for life and for creating that business based around all those different interests, being able to read well or write well and speak well.
That's so important. It's one of the most important things, and that I'm grateful about from my academic career, just learning to write and to speak. Unfortunately, most of my academic career was in Italian, so most of it I learned to write and speak in Italian. But that gives you such a strong
Foundation,
exactly. Yeah, and from there you can express yourself and share your ideas, because you can have a great idea in your mind, but if I'm not able to get it across you and explain it to you and maybe get you fired up about it, it's nothing. I'm just a person with an idea. But if I have an idea and it's very clear to me and I can get it across to you, then suddenly I'm not just a person with an idea, but maybe I'm a person with an idea and million people that agree with me, and yeah, you have many. One of them, for example, as well agreed on, one of the best presidents of the United States in the last decades probably is Obama. As one of his main skills is being very proficient speaker. Like when you listen to him, it's just like a pleasure to listen whatever he's talking about.
Absolutely, it's power, isn't it?
It is power. It is. Yeah. So of course, sometimes some people they used it for bad purposes.
Yeah,
of
course.
You can think of a Stalin or a Hitler.
Yes.
And rile up people in the wrong direction. So that's very dangerous. But it is something that everyone should learn, and everyone should have it in their toolbox of skills.
Definitely. Yeah, and having not gone to university, I don't like to have any regrets in life, but if I could do it again, I probably would, for the sake of, having a few years to just practice writing, which I've kind of forced myself to do recently. But yeah, would have been quite handy to have that.
It's one of those things that I would go back at doing, just writing essays about certain subjects, because sometimes I have some ideas in my mind that are too complex, and I have to write them down to actually make them full-fledged.
Exactly.
Essays.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to find the time.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. Yeah, I wrote a little letter the other night, and I went past my bedtime, went past my curfew, but self-imposed curfew. But I really felt like I needed to, because at that moment I felt inspired, and I just had this feeling that if I don't write this now, it's not going to be the same. The moment will have passed, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to express it verbally, and I had to do it. But yeah, on that note, there was another thing I found really interesting not long ago, was this idea of men in universities doing much worse than women in the last few years. And one of the reasons we suspect is that reading and writing is not a skill which is sold very well to young men.
Okay.
Whereas if we were able to sell it more like, this is the most powerful thing you can ever learn, you know, not how to fight or do jiu-jitsu, or I'm sure that stuff's cool, I would like to do that as well, but the most powerful thing you could learn is how to speak and write. I think if we told that to, you know, 14, 15, 16-year-old boys who want to be badass, they'd probably be doing a lot better at universities right now than they currently are. Especially
nowadays, that it's a society that is not based on muscular strength.
Yeah.
It's not about being the strongest person.
No, it's not.
We're not fighting wars in medieval fashion, where you have to be the biggest, strongest, and the fastest. You actually have to be the kind of person that can be very clearly understood, and people have to be willing to follow you and understand who you are and what are your ideas and what is your vision. And it's something that Jordan Peterson talks about a lot. He made a program, self-authoring, and he talks about it a lot. He's one of the people that says that it's one of the most important skills that you can learn.
Yeah, right.
And it's overlooked in university and in school in general. I tried the self-authoring program.
Did you? That's interesting. What did you think of it?
It was very useful.
Okay.
Because you never sit and write about yourself. Never.
Journaling?
Yes, but like in a very structured way that you start from, because there is the past authoring, there is the present authoring, and there is the future authoring. And the past one is divided in periods of your life. So like you start early on, when you start remembering like the first things, and you write about like, I don't know, from when you were 5 years old to 10, and from 10 to, no, usually it's divided in like academic years. So, you know, like primary school, if I remember correctly.
Oh, primary school, secondary school.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So like what happened in those years, because it's easier to divide it. Right. If you think of it that way. If I remember correctly, because I did it many years ago. And it's interesting to go and sit and try to bring back those memories and make a sense out of it. Present one as well is really interesting, because you see your faults and your positive traits, and you write about them. But probably for me, the most important one was the future authoring.
Okay.
Because you have to write both about your life in two different scenarios. One, if everything goes perfectly and you just realize all of your dreams and you manage to achieve your perfect dream, vision, or life. And the other one, what happens if everything goes wrong?
It's terrifying, isn't it?
It is terrifying, but that's the point of it. That's the point of the exercise. Just like, if I do nothing, this is what could happen. If I do something, this is the other thing that could happen. And the way Jordan Peterson talks about it is that you create your own paradise and your own hell, and then you try to stay as far away from your hell as possible and strive for your paradise. But that was really interesting, because most of the time what you're pushed towards is just like live in the fog, not move the curtain and see what's behind it, especially like in the really negative scenario. kind of scenario.
Can I ask what your paradise future looked like?
Okay, I can say that one of the things in my paradise scenario, it was podcasting.
Oh, beautiful.
It took me many years, but now I'm kind of doing it. Let's
Great,
see.
yeah.
Let's
you
see
are.
where it goes. I don't know where it's going, but it's something.
Beautiful.
But it's I feel also like you shouldn't talk too much about or think too much about your future, because it
There is
could,
that.
especially if it's like this ultimate future, it kind of could get very oppressing and overwhelming. And it's better to just maybe focus on everyday tasks that you have to do to actually get there.
I'm sure you're right. I've even heard of this. You get a little dopamine rush from telling people your plans, and it's like a false feeling of accomplishment.
Yes, I actually have a confession.
Okay, this is a private space. This is a safe space, apart from everyone who's going to hear this podcast.
So I started doing the interviews and everything, but I kind of got lost a little bit in this rushes of just telling everyone, oh, I started a podcast, I'm doing interviews, but I still haven't uploaded. And I feel like like you said, it feels like you're doing something by saying that, oh, I have this thing, like I'm doing it, and then you miss on doing the actual action that would make that thing into a reality. It is true that I also have many other things to do, and I didn't have I didn't find the time to completely edit everything.
I mean, we are here right now.
Yeah, but I also feel like sometimes it's kind of an excuse, and
it's interesting to observe that. Yeah, I mean, when we first met, this is very relevant, isn't it? Because when we first met, I spoke about wanting to upload blogs as like a precursor to every other type of content. So like start with a blog, and then you've got a script for a video. You've got short extracts for shorter posts. And this was something I latched onto as like a really, really helpful first step for content creation for anybody.
mm-hmm.
And this was the first time we met on some rooftop in a party. We watched there was a big cinema, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And you were really encouraging, and you very kindly said something like, "Okay, great, I'll keep an eye out for when you post your thing." And it took me like 3 months. I think it was like it took me about 10 minutes to write the thing, maybe half an hour. And it was like 3 months later that I actually posted it.
Yeah. Procrastination, it's a very dangerous beast.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Just slips.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And you think it's going to be a problem if it goes wrong, and it's just not. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. It still just takes so long. Yeah.
But it's so sneaky sometimes because you just keep postponing it. Yeah, I will do it. And then I will do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow becomes next week, and then next week becomes next month.
Yeah.
And sometimes it never happens, you know? You just give up maybe on a dream or something.
Absolutely.
So dangerous.
I think it's a momentum thing, right? Like, it's really easy to slip into apathy about life in general and be on autopilot. And I've done that loads of times. I regularly do. Might be hours or days or weeks. I'm just completely on autopilot. And then it's like I'll get in a good flow for a few days. But yeah, I think a lot of elements, some people I think are capable of just doing industrious shit all the time. And I'm not one of them. I think I have to have lots of elements of my life really cleanly in place in order to feel productive and kind of stay in the light, if you like. Like, I need to be sleeping well. I need to be hydrated. All that stuff. Some people can just do it, but I can't. I am right now, though.
But I feel like it's about finding a balance between being creative and being drawn towards chaos. And, being interested in many different things, trying different things. And the opposite, just being very straightforward, sticking to one activity, being very repetitive. It's both skills that can be learned, and if you can find that middle space, that's where you achieve something very powerful, because you can both be creative and do new things and give a twist to whatever you're doing. But at the same time, when you have to bring something into reality, you just focus on it and you get it done. It is very hard, but I think it's so people that are maybe too much on the left side of the brain or of the personality, where you're more creative and more all over the place, maybe you should go a little bit more right.
Yeah, that's it.
While people on the right, they're always stuck in a pattern or in a structure and don't try new things, or should go a little bit more on the left.
It's so interesting, isn't it? And that, like the self-authoring thing, just understanding yourself is so important. Because, yeah, as I've just alluded to, I'm definitely a person who needs a lot of structure around me so that I can get any of the creative stuff to give it traction. I need everything else to be in place. And then, yeah, maybe the opposite might be everything is in place all the time and it's hard to break free of it. Which one do you feel you sit in?
I always been a very chaotic person, always. Also, I feel like that's a expression of ADHD, being all over the place. Your attention, it's really hard to get your attention on one thing. It's always flipping to something else. You don't have control over it. And also in school, I always find it hard to stick to a defined schedule and do my homework and prepare for exams. It's either I love the thing and I would give all my all into it and actually listen when I was during class and do the things that I had to do. Otherwise, I would completely be careless. And in life as well. But lately, I'm trying to, or I think that I achieved some of it, just being more focused and being more productive. It takes time.
How did you do that?
It's meditation. Daily meditation.
Really? Okay.
It is, because the concept of it's sitting and directing your mind where you want it to go. So it's not going to your phone with the notification that you just got from your WhatsApp messages, or you're not scrolling reels on Instagram or TikTok, and every time it's something different, and your attention it's always going to something random. You don't have control over it. You just get into autopilot mode. It's just controlled by an app. Or it's not going to the person in the room that is just talking to you. You're thinking of something and that person talks to you. So now your attention is going to that person. It's just about sitting and bringing your attention where you want it to be. And actually where you want it to be is nowhere. So have no thoughts, because it's when you have no thoughts, or it's when you have an empty canvas, when you can draw wherever you want. Because if it's a canvas with scribbles all over the place, you cannot actually create what you want to create. But if you can get to that empty place, you can then create whatever you want.
How often do you do it, or how long? Or
every day. Yes.
In the morning?
Yes, because otherwise I just get lost in that vortex of life. I as soon as I wake up, before breakfast, I really wake up, go to the bathroom, wash my teeth, my face, go back, drink some water. Sit and do it. And when you start in the beginning, it would be so hard to do it. Like you do 5 minutes and you're like dying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do this. No, I want to do that and that and that. And what about this thing and this other thing? But slowly, it's like going to the gym. When you show up the first time, you try a random dumbbell and you get discouraged because it's too strong. You're like, come on, it's too heavy. And you think, come on, am I that weak? And you have to lower and go to like a very light one. But then if you keep doing it, in a couple of years, you maybe be using the heaviest ones. And it's the same with meditation.
You know, at the start of this thing, I said it was raining this morning, so I didn't do my little walk.
Mm.
So I feel a bit drowsy. I've only just now thought of that as a meditation, that little walk.
It is.
It's like first thing in the morning, drink some water, and then go out for about 10 minutes, maybe 15 max. And it's just super brief to the park round the corner. And now that you mention it, I'm probably not thinking of much during that time. And I missed it this morning. So what did I do instead? After about 20 minutes of being awake, I was on my phone. Didn't do my walk. Went into the kitchen. There was someone in there who isn't usually in the house. Ended up speaking with them for a while, kind of before I was really ready. No wonder I felt a little bit drowsy, because I kind of missed that grounding, settling, blank canvas moment of the day.
Yeah, usually people say, I'll go on a walk to clear my mind. That's the thing that people say. And it is a form of meditation. Just being out, hopefully in nature.
Yeah, it's a pretty good park around the corner. There is a bit of nature in there. I think there is something a bit more disciplined about the sit.
It is, yes. Because there is no action, no other action. There is just your thoughts, especially if you close your mind. You have no inputs from the outside. It's everything about what's inside. And it's easy to get overwhelmed by all the thoughts that are inside. I feel like it's like clearing a very messy room. I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where the room gets really, really messy. And you just become procrastinating because you don't want to face it, because it's too much. Where should I start? But even if you move just one item every day and you put it like in the right place, maybe in a few months or in a year, it will be a tidy room. And I feel it's something similar, because when you close your eyes and you just listen to everything that's inside, you get hit by all those random thoughts that maybe you're scared of. I don't know, like it could be, I have that deadline. I haven't spoken to my mom in a long time. There is that issue in the house, I don't know, with the pipes, with the radiator, I should fix it. Everything comes at once. So it's important to just sit and just face those things and be okay with them.
And when you face them during a meditation, do you wait for them to pass, or do you deal with them? Do you sit with them for a bit?
I feel like these examples that I gave are very generic. Usually what keeps you from sitting is more complicated stuff. Okay. Usually it's like decisions in your life. Maybe, maybe you hate your job, but you're just getting through the motions and just showing up every day and you're doing it without actually facing the reality of it. But maybe when you sit and you face it, then there is that voice in your mind telling you, you fucking hate that job.
It's so hard. It's so hard. I'm scared of those moments.
It is.
Have you had any experience with psychedelics?
Yes, I did.
Some of my experiences with those have been that, where it's like an enforced sitting with the thoughts for a while, and it's incredibly healing, and something which I haven't allowed myself to do without the aid of, like, a ceremonial. I'm going to have some psychedelics and lie here for 2 hours now and think about all the things I don't want to think about for a while. But without that, I don't put aside the time to do that. I really should clear that. Journaling does it a bit. Yeah, I do have practices, I suppose. Maybe the morning walk, an evening journal. But I can still avoid the thoughts if I try hard enough.
I would say that journaling and walking, it's a good way to approach it. Because it's a light form of meditation, because when you're walking, you have nothing else to do. You're just looking around you and you're thinking and you're walking. And especially if you're doing it by yourself. Same with journaling. You're thinking and writing, but in both cases, you're still doing an activity. One is walking and getting all the outputs from the outside. The other one is writing. But then you get to the hardcore version, that's meditation, like sitting, mindfulness. And that one, you are not doing anything else. it's just what's inside of you. Yeah, it's again, like I said, it's a work in progress for me as well, and it's just about showing up and keep doing it and start and keep showing up.
Okay, thank you for that. This is my message. I think I've had enough messages, and this is the final one, which is going to make me do it. This is the one.
Yeah, you can find your routine. It can even be you go for your walk, and then in that walk you decide you plan it to just sit for 5 minutes in the park.
Yeah.
It could be like very easy.
Yeah.
Like you would tell a person that came to one of your classes, or like you're doing a personal training session with, if they're like very weak, you will just tell them start with the easiest thing. Like if you cannot do a is it called push up? What they tell you is to start by being on your knees. You know, so even if you can do 0 push-ups, there is still a way to kind of get like a smaller step.
Exactly.
I think it's something similar. It's just that the mind being something abstract, it's not approached as muscles. That it's something that it's you can see, touch, and feel.
But it really is.
But it can have like a similar approach. You know?
You just want to be the master, right? I want to be the master of my mind. I don't want it to control me.
Yes. That's the final goal. I feel like more people should put attention to that.
I think you're right, yeah. And I think that's probably, in my case, one of the biggest things standing between me and achieving what I want to achieve in life. Is that self-control.
It's not just you, it's everyone. It's me as well.
Yeah. Do you think you do need to be in a city to really maximize your potential as a human?
That's a good question.
At least for a time. Maybe when you're young, when you're building.
I think you should be in a city, in a big city, because of course the more people you have around you, the more opportunities of collaborating and networking you have. And also not just that, if you're living in a small village and it's a village of, I don't know, 5,000 people, the statistics of you actually finding someone that you click with, it's very low. Or what I should say is that, like, maybe you have, let's say that it's a village of 500 people. Maybe you have just one baker, one butcher, one teacher, school teacher, or like maybe a few. But you have one of each. While when you're in London, you have 1 million butchers and 1 million bakers. So each baker has to kind of do their thing a little bit differently, you know. So maybe you have the French baker, you have the Italian baker, you have the Spanish baker,
the upside down baker.
The upside down baker. I haven't been to that one yet.
Nor have I.
But you know, you have to give your twist, and so you get to meet more particular people, and you get inspired, and you get different perspective, and this creativity. It's born.
I think you're really right about the networking thing as well. That sometimes I see these messages about disappear for 1 year and come back completely rebranded, you know. And I think that to a certain extent that's true, like the meditation side of it, the organization side of it. I think being alone and doing stuff, whether it's writing or content creation or whatever it is, working, is a useful thing to integrate at times. But personally, and I think for most people, I wonder if you agree, networking is the most important skill of almost any industry in the world. Maybe content creation is a little bit different because you spend so long behind the screen. But yeah, I do wonder if some of the times in London when I felt the most stagnant have been like the dead of winter, when the networking opportunities are at a minimum. And that's when it really feels like, what am I doing? Am I making any progress here? And I've never really thought of it that way, but I think it's because I'm not meeting new people and forming relationships, and all the opportunities just come from networking, don't they?
For me, it's that way. I think probably one of my main skills is networking. It's I don't know if it's in the top 3 for sure. I don't know if it's number 1.
It seems to be.
I guess that's the podcasting. It's a twist to it because you're just having a conversation one-on-one with someone, but that's also networking. That's what networking is. You just meet a person, you just talk, and you're just like, I am this person, and the other person, they say who they are, and then you share ideas, and maybe you say, I like your ideas. Let's do something together.
It did feel that way. It did feel that way when I met you, and it felt really, really easy.
Exactly, yes.
And it is a skill of yours.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I'm getting to that point as well about what you mentioned, how you feel in winter and how you're less productive and networking less. I feel like all the energy in the whole city goes down in winter. Me as well, I do. I'm not working as much. I'm less propositive. I'm less proactive. And also people around me are the same. So because maybe sometimes it's not my best week or not my best month, but I meet someone that's doing well and really energized, and they will suggest something that will energize me as well. But in winter, everyone is in that low mood, so it's really hard to get out of it. And so I'm getting to a point lately where I'm starting to think that maybe the best thing to do is to be here in the summer months and autumn months, maybe spring, and winter be somewhere else, because anyway I'm not productive and people around me are not productive. Everyone is in a lower mood, and just in that time go to a warmer place. So just use the upside of living in a big city in the months that I can use it and be somewhere else, maybe in nature, hopefully, in those other months where activity goes down.
I think you're absolutely right, yeah. And I always thought of that as kind of a luxury, like a holiday, like an escape. But yeah, I really do see it as a productivity boost as well. Depending on where you were. Yeah, because I've always thought of a tropical climate as a place where I could go relax. But yeah, in this kind of entrepreneurial lifestyle, you want to be creating all the time. We want it to be our lifestyles, right? Rather than a job. That's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you can skip out those 4-5 months of the year where energy is low, and there's not really much networking going on between December and March anyway. So yeah, why bother being here in the rat race if there's not much going on?
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm planning to do this year. Be here until November or something like that, and go away for a few months and come back in February. Our friend in common, G, he's been doing that for the last couple of years, I think. And he made me think and inspired me to try it as well this year. I was planning to do it last year as well, but I stayed here for these reasons, for sake of being productive, sake of being in the rat race.
Me too.
Because then you feel like, if I'm leaving the rat race for a few months, am I going to fall behind? The other rats
exactly.
are going to get
too.
ahead of me.
Yeah, same here.
But I'm kind of realizing that I'm so slow anyway.
Absolutely. I was here for like 3 months paying rent, subletting between November and January. I just got hardly anything done.
Yes. It was very similar to me as well. So this was my final proof that maybe I should try something else. And this year I will experiment and see how it goes. And hopefully by going away and coming back, I would be energized and be even more productive when I come here.
Probably will be, I imagine. Just the sun and the vitamin D for starters.
Yes. So I'm kind of a little bit scared, but also looking forward to it.
Haha, yeah. Where are you going to go?
I'm going to go to India.
India, yeah. Sorry, did you say that?
No, maybe I mentioned that another
Jeet,
time.
But Jeet is there.
Yeah, Jeet as well. Maybe I will meet him, by the way.
You'll meet him there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. I'd hope
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I mean, it's a big place, isn't it? But if you do happen to...
I think we are going to plan it because one of the reasons I'm going is also to go to some ashrams,
Right.
and he would probably be at one of them. And also, we had a podcast interview, and probably he told you about the guru that he met.
Yes, I do see some of the content from there, the updates.
Exactly, and he's been working with him. We had the podcast interview, and he talked about it. And I was curious to maybe have a chance to meet him and go there and see what's up.
See what's up. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fascinating. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I might do the same this winter.
It's happening with more and more people. Also, I have another friend.
Escape.
Yes, I was talking to him a couple of weeks ago. And he just left his job and he's actually going for a year. Just to go travel around. But I feel it's just more sustainable.
Yeah, for everything, right? We want to feel like we're making progress all the time, ideally. And I know we spoke about earlier about the seasons and how maybe having distinct seasons is quite a nice thing. But yeah, I mean, it's just not nice, is it? Winter in the UK is just not nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you feel like you're not getting anything done.
Yeah. I'm sorry for you guys. Because
that's okay.
You know,
survival mode. Stagnate for a bit.
It's something that I always took for granted when I was living in Italy. You know, daylight, sunlight, and warmer climate. I didn't think much of it, but now I really appreciate it. When the sun is out, I'm out as well.
Absolutely, it's huge. Yeah, it's huge. And all these positive impacts compound, don't they? Like I was saying, I go for these walks. I go for them because it's sunny and nice. And then the next thing I do in the day is better because I've had that time. And yeah, go for a couple of walks a day. More energy, more networking, more meeting people, building relationships, sleeping better. All of it just, yeah, I mean, we want to enjoy life ideally, don't we? I don't need to be happy all the time. But I want to ideally feel strong, just enjoy life.
Yes, ideally it's to find that balance between productivity and enjoyment. That it's really hard.
Yeah.
But sometimes it feels that if you're enjoying too much life, you cannot be productive, and if you're productive, you cannot enjoy life.
This is an interesting one.
It sounds like it's the recurring theme of this conversation. Productivity, and not just productivity, also creativity and no boundaries and expression.
Yes, yeah, enjoying it.
And it sounds like these two concepts are at the opposite ends of the spectrum, so they cannot meet. Would be ideal to make them meet.
Yes, it would be. And I think that does have different implications for different types of people.
Yes, it's funny that probably was the first conversation that I had with you when we met. It was about this subject.
Was it? I remember a few things we spoke about.
Yes, you know, when I came to visit your place.
After we met on the rooftop.
I think this was before. I think it was our first meeting.
Oh, the dinner. Yes.
The dinner.
Yeah, right,
yes,
right,
the dinner. Do you remember we had dinner?
Yes, I do.
Then we yes. And we started talking. And we were talking about alternating between these two states, being very productive but not enjoying life. Or enjoying too much life and getting lost and not getting stuff done.
Yeah. I definitely feel like it's easier to do that in summer. Yeah, I don't know if it's like an ADHD thing but I need stimulation a lot of the time. Like if I'm going to tidy a room, I'll want to have music on, and if I want to have a meditation, it will be a walk or it'll be a workout. I don't just want to sit there. And yeah, I wonder if that's justifiable or not.
I guess whoever finds a solution would change the lives of many people. But I feel like meditation is a solution to that. Caffeine. I feel like
drugs. If only caffeine was sustainable. If only you could have it, clear it from your system, and be fresh the next day. It would be a miracle cure for all my productivity woes. But unfortunately, it is not the miracle cure because it has a timed benefit.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And it gives diminishing returns.
Yeah. Health-wise as well. So I feel like we could keep talking forever.
Yeah.
But is there anything that you would like to, any plugs, anything that you would like to share before we finish our conversation? Anything you would like to let people know about the things that you do that we already talked about?
Sure, I'll recap those if that's helpful. I really appreciate that we've got the chance to speak about them. So Creative Dance Fitness is a dance workshop. My name's Kip, and Kip Fits is the company. So that's on Instagram, YouTube. Soon to be more on YouTube, but we're just about on the website and such. Kip Fits, KIPFITS. And Salty Pelican is the improv group. Those would be the two. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I've been to both of those, and like I said before, they're very interesting activities that you wouldn't do anywhere else, I feel. And it helps you to express yourself, let go, and just get out of your comfort zone and boundaries and feel a little bit more free and more kid-like, but in a meaningful way,
Sure.
And I think that's a balance that you're trying to create, and so far it's working, and I really like it.
Thank you for your support.
No, thank you for coming to the podcast and for doing what you do.
Thank you for doing what you do too. Yeah, thank you for being so easy to network with, and for leaning into your important skills and doing something with them which requires some bravery and opening up to creating your own path.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you in the next one.
I hope so. See you then.